Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pity that I cannot be with you today, but happy that with the help of technology, I can send you my message. I would like to thank Dr. Yi Chong Lee for the kind invitation to speak and appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts on the critical importance of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM program, with an emphasis on inclusion of women and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, in September 2015, the United Nations General Assembly declared February 11th as the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, coinciding with the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as Agenda 2030. The SDGs are built on a strong foundation of science, technology and innovation, with a consistent call for gender equality throughout. The standalone goal on gender equality is bold and clear and will serve as a guidepost in our collective efforts to achieve gender equality in all spheres of human activity and advancement. The SDGs are an opportunity to commit to a new mindset, one that disrupts inertia, questions the status quo, and discards all prejudices while introducing new ideas that are big, creative, achievable, and sustainable. The global education gender gap has seen impressive declines around the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, between 2004 and 2014, 94% of the education gender gap was closed. In my country, Mauritius, a big catalyst for progress was triggered when free education began to be provided in 1976. Notwithstanding this impressive gain, a 2016 UNESCO report provides new evidence that gender gaps in education persist. Some 16 million girls worldwide between the ages of 6 and 11 will never start school compared to 8 million boys. The gap widens when one moves beyond education to factoring future employment and wage earnings. Yet, see the opportunities for women and girls to advocate for their interests, rights, and social transformation are opening up, particularly through information and communications technology. In college, women are catching up in science and maths, and businesses are realizing that a more diverse, gender-balanced workforce adds shareholder value and contributes to achieve the bottom line. Ladies and gentlemen, science, technology, and innovation have the power to disrupt and shift trajectories as STI increasingly influences all aspects of life today, not just careers directly in the sciences. STI solutions are required to grow business and social enterprise, improve health outcomes, including sexual and reproductive health, provide clean water and energy, manage the environment, and develop infrastructure. The SDG gender goal directs the global community to enhance the use of enabling technology, in particular information and communications technologies, to promote the empowerment of women. The ability of women to access, benefit from, develop, influence, and lead these sectors will directly impact whether we achieve the Planet 50-50 goal to, I quote, make national commitments to address the challenges that are holding women and girls back from reaching their full potential by 2030, unquote. Moreover, as history shows, science serves as the basis for informed decision-making and effective impact assessment in all sectors. Of course, having women in leadership positions in science, business, and public office is a powerful signal for both men and women. Just think of the iconic role model that Marie Curie played more than 100 years ago after winning her 2 Nobel Prizes. And it was certainly heartening to see that thick glass ceiling of that ultimate male bastion, the Marine Corps, had been broken with a female Marine graduating from a grueling infantry officer course, the first among 36 pioneering women who have tried to accomplish this milestone since 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, If women are left out of full participation in 21st century aspirations, we will not achieve gender equality, nor realize our broader goal for growth, prosperity, and well-being, including scientific advancement. We simply cannot afford to draw from anything other than 100% of our talent pool if we are serious about transforming African economies into sustainable enterprises driven by innovation. I firmly believe that no team can even contemplate to win by leaving 52% of the team on the bench. We need more women who can raise awareness and lead by example. I'm looking to the present generation to carry forward this torch. Unfortunately, in Africa, as in the developed world, the number of women in STEM declines steadily on the arc from secondary school to university, laboratories, teaching, policy making, decision making, and leadership. There are great divides in women's access to, participation in, and leadership within STI sectors, despite being on the frontiers of energy use, climate change adaptation, economic production, and as stewards of extensive traditional knowledge. In the formal STI sector worldwide, women make up under 10% of those in innovation hubs and funding by venture capitalists, and only 5% of membership in national academies in science and technology disciplines. We are simply underrepresented in sectors of research and development, publishing, leadership in government and the private sector, and so on. We must address the disconnect between the interests and the ability of women to provide brain power and their inclusion in the formal power structure of science and science policy making. The reasons for this disconnect are many, ranging from access to technology, to education and investment gaps, to unsupportive work environments, to cultural beliefs and customs around childcare, and to persistent stereotypes. Globally, girls demonstrate no less interest in science and math education in primary schools than do boys, then start to select themselves out of STEM courses in early secondary school. Societal attitudes and bias hinder girls' self-confidence and ambition, with science and technology often considered male domains. But change is coming, slowly but steadily. Pressing ahead, making yourself heard, pulling each other up, and making a lasting impact on your world, that is what we must do for the benefit of all. We need to celebrate the incredible achievements of women in science, technology, and innovation, and galvanize the global community to do more to ensure that women's participation in the formal sector is the rule, not the exception. In the informal sector, where women's ingenuity is already the rule, we must be awarded commensurate recognition and support. The International Day for Women in Science is an annual reminder of these opportunities and obligations, holding us accountable for advancing women in science, technology, and innovation to achieve gender equality and, by extension, our broader development goals. This ambition is complex and deep, but it starts at the most basic level, in the education of children. Parents, teachers, and community leaders influence how young women choose their career paths. That choice begins early in school and continues all the way through higher education. When science is rejected as a career choice, it is often due to limited information and the dearth of positive role models to encourage young girls to participate. We all know that the family unit is the most influential factor, so parents must be brought in early so that they can learn of opportunities for their children. Too many poor and rural parents, these are not only beyond their exposure, but also beyond their imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, my own career path in science and leadership started with my parents. While my personal journey is one of many, I'm reminded of Mark Twain, who said, "It is better to have second-hand diamonds than none at all." My journey began as an only daughter. I have a younger brother. My father, who was a school teacher, believed in equal opportunity for boys and girls. Importantly, from an early age, I was allowed to make choices for myself. The significance of this, of course, is that I had also to suffer the consequences of those choices. At school, I was blessed with motivated teachers who encouraged me to discover the beauty of the natural world, helping to demystify it by answering the endless question that occurred to a curious 12-year-old. To an aware child, a positive response to the classic question, why is the sky blue? Why are some plants yellow while most remain green? Is a portal into the inner world of the mind. It may not be a coincidence that my teachers were women, or lady teachers as they were called, having attended a Catholic convent school. These religious and lay role models reinforced my interest and strengthened my fascination with science. So when relatives urged me to seek the advice of a career guidance counselor, I did. We are in 1978. Men had already walked on the moon 9 years before. The world's first test tube baby, Louise Brown, was born that very year. The transformation that science could bring to human lives was real, it was tangible, and it was mind-blowing. Yet, despite my advantageous starting point, surrounded by enlightened parents and engaged teachers, the counselor discouraged me from studying science. The reasons cited were as short-sighted as they were disappointing. I was female, and science is not for me. And when I would return to Mauritius after my studies, there'd be no job opportunities for me. I was a pretty stubborn young woman, so maybe it was this lukewarm approach that helped me to galvanize my determination. In the event, shortly thereafter, I returned home from school and announced to my father that I was going to follow my heart and study chemistry. I never looked back. I pursued my higher education in chemistry in the UK. After earning my undergraduate degree, I took what turned out to be a valuable year to get some hands-on experience and learn the ropes in industry before a scholarship for my PhD. I turned down an opportunity to do a postdoc in the US, instead returning home, where I later became the first woman professor at the University of Mauritius in 2001. A decade later, I took a risky leap into the world of entrepreneurship and established my own enterprise by translating my research into a business. After that, I was elected president in 2015, when I have been using my bully pulpit to advance STEM education and enhancing the role of science, technology, and innovation in national development plans. Since launching my career, things have changed for the better in Mauritius and in many parts of Africa. But while we have improved access to education, we need all the firepower at our disposal to tackle global challenges, climate change, food and water security, and health challenges, to name some of the biggest ones. Facing these existential threats, we must realize that it is not just a moral issue to educate our girls. Gender equality is critical for the economic well-being of both men and women. We must bring all our human resources to bear on these huge challenges. As Arantxa Gonzalez, Executive Director of the International Trade Center, had said, and I quote, "When women participate in the economy, growth is stronger and it is inclusive," unquote. We know, based on the wealth of research and experience, that empowering women is a necessary and critical economic game changer for any country. Studies reveal, for example, that if women were to participate in the labor force to the same extent as men, national income would increase by 5% in the United States, 9% in Japan, and 27% in India. I would be remiss if I didn't pay tribute to late Wangari Maathai, scientist and the first African woman to win the Nobel Prize, for having raised our consciousness about environmental protection. She drew on her observation from the point of view of a child and fought for what she believed in to protect and safeguard the forests of her native Kenya. I'm confident that with the right kind of support, more Wangari Maathais will emerge to tackle Africa's development challenges. Undeniably, government has a key role to play in promoting the position of women in the labour market. Affordable childcare, parental leave, and workplace flexibility are all critical tools for equal opportunity. Equal pay and better opportunities for women promote diversity, reduce inequality, and boost economic growth for everyone. In Africa, It is a little known fact that women play critical roles in growing food to feed the continent. Women must be empowered with knowledge, technology, and financial resources and land. Increasing women access to finance mechanisms and removing the legal barriers that still exist in many countries are among the ways to make sure that women can stay in the workforce and achieve her fullest potential. In the fast-paced world of scientific research, in particular, any long period away from the lab threatens the ability to be creative, publish, and to be regarded by colleagues as a productive asset. Fortunately, many countries are recognizing the need for gender equality. The G20 nations, representing 85% of the world's GDP and 2/3 of its population, have pledged to reduce the gender gap in labor force participation rates between men and women by 25% by 2025, and to create over 100 million more jobs, contributing to economic opportunity and well-being for all. As admirable as this goal may be, the sober fact is that at this rate, it would take over 150 years to achieve full economic gender equality. Are we prepared to wait this long? Certainly not. Our generation of women and our girls has the opportunity and the power to bend the arc of history towards greater gender equality and more inclusive global growth. It is a moral and economic imperative that we bring our collective weight to bear to achieve this future much sooner than a century and a half from now. Women can sustain the momentum by voting with our time, our wallets, and our social media account. We should be able to run our homes as well as run for office, persevere, and climb the corporate ladder and become successful entrepreneurs. In doing so, we can show the way for younger women who are following us. As Madeleine Albright said, and I quote, "There is a special place in hell for those women who do not help other women," unquote. It is our sacred and privileged duty as successful women to create the next generation of women leaders. We must hire more women, invest in them, and promote civility among us. Much remains to be done to achieve gender equality, but as an eternal optimist, I'm confident that it will be done because it must be done. One of the great gifts of leadership is the opportunity to work every day and for the next generation, leading by example, learning from their insights, and sharing ideas to keep the momentum going. Only in this way we will ensure that equal work and equal pay become a global reality and that women's rights will be fully respected. After all, women's rights are civil rights, and civil rights are human rights, to cite Hillary Clinton. Let us get to work now. I thank you for your attention.